Guys, I've got some updates on this situation in Nepal, and what they've done is issue a new flood risk. What has happened right at the collapse site, the debris kept coming down after the initial impact. Now they're finding out that that big, massive ice shelf, guys, slid 4,000 feet very quickly because it's so steep. It got slippery on the bottom because everything's heating up, and when that happened, it came down, but it continued pulling an avalanche of boulders and ice. Now we have another lake forming at the section to where it collapsed. If we look at this map, guys, let me pull it up. But first it says flood risk. Satellite images confirmed. Satellite images are showing that a new lake is formed in the Lindakola after river blockage, raising fears of another major flood downstream. Now, guys, again, this is above and in the same path that we saw the destruction yesterday. Right now, the last update I got was about 200 million cubic feet of water backing up into this dam now, which is as big as some of the lakes in the U.S. But anyway, what we're looking at in this top right, let me pull it up a little closer, is yesterday's avalanche zone coming through here, making that curve into this river, coming down the hill, very steep. You can see where you still have snow in areas. Anyway, it made this curve. And in this section, we're starting to see that lake build up because it was pretty much a frozen glacial lake. And after that 4,000 foot slide into it, it pulverized it, and we saw that come downstream. And in these two images, it's a before and after. This is before yesterday's flood, and you basically got the path of the river coming through here. But in the bottom, guys, and they've got it outlined from satellite images, this is how big the lake is starting to form as of the latest updates. I also have a couple helicopter images of that's coming in. So, again, this is a large amount of water, and it's still filling up. Some reports are starting to say that it's starting to leak over the very edge of the dam. Now, they're saying the next 72 hours is the most high-risk window of this. It's very tense. Emergency response agencies on both sides of the border have mobilized heavy assets to handle the crisis. And they're dealing in these areas, guys, with almost total destruction already. But the Chinese military and the China-Nepal engineering rescue team have successfully deployed an advanced team directly above the blockage zone. They are currently using portable satellite stations and aerial drones and 3D laser scanners to map the structural composition of the debris dam. This data is being fed into real-time simulators to predict exact breach scenarios. But again, there's reports that water is starting to come over the top. Now, they flew a chopper in there and got this picture, and this is exactly what we're looking at. Now, we were looking top down, and here's that long scar that came in from yesterday. See this? 4,000 foot drop. Imagine the velocity. And here is where the lake is starting to form. And just below this is where two rivers collide, or they Y into each other, called the Chokan-Kola and the Pirpu-Sangpu River in Nepal. And at that point, they become basically the Trishuli River that we saw all the damage done. But look at the scar, guys. And again, they're talking about maybe at this point 2 million cubic meters of water, guys. That's a lot. Think about that. It's larger than a cubic yard. But this is what they're dealing with, and this is probably several hours old, this chopper scene. But let's take a look at the actual 3D map of Google Earth. And what we're dealing with, let me pull this up, guys, is right here. Come over this cliff face. Right here is where the river's damming back up into this area. You can't see that far down, but right in here, we were getting chopper shots this morning. I'll show you some. And all of these buildings, let me change this to just a little bit, guys. Again, here's the location of the bottleneck coming in, guys, but look at how these tributaries come in and how high these are going up into the Himalaya mountains. tilt this back just a little bit, give you an idea. And so everybody in this area, you know, some people say, why build in the valley? It's pretty populous. You got China and Tibet and a lot of folks, and there's just not that much flat land in some of these areas, guys. Anyway, this is the choke point here, and it comes right into the river that we watched yesterday. All of this stuff, by the way, is gone now. All of these, we watched the floods come through there. But right now, the most important thing, and they're getting the word out, and we saw in some of the videos this morning, I'll play you some of the newer images coming out of that zone, but that they're basically telling the workers and the rescue folks that are there downstream from here, coming all the way through these valleys that we looked at, to get to higher ground. But again, let's take a look at some of the newest images and some that we haven't seen, just to give you a kind of look at boots on the ground and what they're dealing with. But this, guys, is telltale here when we're starting to see this type of effect coming off of these mountains like this. And now we got this valley stopped up. You've got a lot more ice to go. And this is a screenshot from an overfly of a chopper this morning, Chinese chopper. And guys, you can see a building here. The whatever that was, it could have been a hydro company or something that was up in here. All of this is gone. This has come down. This is where the rivers meet, and the blockage is back up here. You can see a building here, and right there, guys, it may be hard to see, but that is actually what they're saying is Chinese workers down there doing body searches. Check that out. But the reason I wanted to show you this is notice how narrow the river is here. Now, the chopper's going to fly up close to where that lake is building. You'll definitely see a difference in the width. And below this, where we just saw in that intersection of the two rivers, it's very dry. It's just washing through the mud. But here you can see the backing up from the landslide that happened back up into this area. And this is coming very close to that intersection of the river. And to be honest with you guys, you can see there's a lot of damage all the way through here from yesterday's, even along the roads. And I've got a couple of new reports coming in as we're doing the video. It says the immense scale of the destruction at the base of the lake is becoming clear. Official counts now state that over 350 people are confirmed dead. Guys, some of those scenes we saw yesterday where 100 people getting wiped out there at that checkpoint, those numbers are very low. They're saying more than 1,300 are remaining missing across the border region because the barrier lake is sitting like a ticking time bomb directly over the ruins of Gyirong port. Remember, I showed you that was the first village hit yesterday. The looming threat of a secondary burst has severely paralyzed ongoing search and rescue efforts for the missing. You've got to clear out before we have a second search and rescue. Because the lake is actively overflowing now its top ridge or top edge, it is beginning to erode its own fragile mud wall. Elite fire and rescue teams from Beijing and Chengdu have been airlifted to the site via large transport aircraft. Engineers are currently evaluating if they can safely use controlled blasting or heavy machinery to dig an artificial spillway to slowly drain the 2 million cubic meters of water before the incoming rains, and it's been cloudy, guys, there, cause a catastrophic collapse. In other words, a slow drain is a lot better than a tsunami like they saw yesterday. Now, here's another update coming in. This is Reuters. Again, Thursday morning, the lake is holding this estimated 2 million cubic meters of water and is beginning to overflow. The Chinese disaster management agencies warn that an additional 3 million cubic meters of water, the equivalent of 1,200 Olympic-sized swimming pools, is expected to rush into the basin over the next 3 days. They got snow melt and they've got rain, guys. So that would put it at 5 million cubic meters. The danger to Nepal is this unstable mud and ice dam completely breaches, it will release a secondary catastrophic wall of water straight down the Bhote Koshi and the Trishuli river valleys, right at that intersection that I just showed you. starting there and going down further. 5 million cubic meters of water. And coming out of Nepal from the Kathmandu Post, guys, it says rescue teams have been searching for people swept away by the flood, with bodies being recovered in several districts downstream. Authorities have also restricted movement along key highways and moved residents from vulnerable areas as they assess the risk of further flooding. The newly formed barrier lake adds another layer of danger to an already complex rescue operation. A breach could send this sudden surge, again, right down the same path. Now, guys, take a look at some of the images that I didn't have yesterday. Look at this. This is coming in from the side. That's probably a loop in the river, how it'll do a cutoff. Look at that. You can see the highway here. There's people down running through this area, and it just piles in. And, of course, it's going to overflow here into any shallow areas, because all the force is hitting right into that bank and actually curving in both directions. Look at that. And as they pan to the left, you'll see what I'm talking about here. I don't know if this bridge is one of the ones that were lost, but a lot of it's headed the other way. But look at how it's being forced because of the water's coming in from that angle across these fields. And these are people running here. Possibly, they're running right there. And it reminds me of the tsunamis that happened during the Fukushima event. Again, just some of the images from different angles. We saw that bridge collapse, but it was from up at a very high angle. This one, I'm not sure if we saw yesterday or not, but this is incredible. These guys are working down below, and they are either getting an alert right here or the noise thundering down the canyon at this dam, guys. Look at this. Running for your life. That's all you can do. And whoever's filming this, cell phone, whatever's up on a pretty high cliff right there. See that? Now everything down there is going to be gone in just seconds. The water just keeps intensifying through that dam. And that's an image. Look at this. Watch what happens at the very bottom of the screen. Of course, everything's coming downhill through these areas, but look, those are 4 or 5 story houses. It looks like penthouse type porches on the top. A little close up of that, people running in the right. You just can't imagine that much force. If it'll knock a home like that down, you wouldn't have a chance with it hitting you, full force. And some more chopper images. And this is the main stream going from right to left, headed, and that's the main flow right there. I think that powerhouse is gone. And the clouds there are indicating that there's thunderstorms in the area, and that rain intensifies the snow melt. Look at this, a different angle, probably a different camera coming through here. Guys running down at the bottom. There's probably 2 or 3 people up there at the top taking images. But you only had seconds. You didn't have minutes. When you could tell by they first heard either the noise or some type of siren warning going off. But look up through this, it looks like a Chinese painting up through there. Destruction. Trapped in the valleys because you really have no other place to go. It looks like it's disintegrating the dam. I haven't seen the newer images of this area unless it was in one of the helicopter scans, and there's nothing left to look at. I did see a few pictures like that, again, in the helicopter. Now this is, I think, looking further up, and this is the point right up here in the center, guys. Above this curve is where that lake is building up. And that's what they're concerned about. Here's where I was showing you from the other chopper images, that building there. And they had people down here in the search team right along this edge. Now it looks like they're right over there. Anyway, coming down that area. But right now, guys, this thing would have less resistance, because instead of trees and big boulders, a lot of that's been pushed out of the way, and you got wet, slick mud. But again, I don't think we're going to have to warn too many people about about having to evacuate. But one reason I am doing this video, I don't usually do a lot of these disaster type or after disaster type videos, is that there's so many people, probably millions, without electricity, that maybe their cell phone is the only way they get any news. If they can get it there. I don't know the situation, but just immense pressure. Look at that over those very tall transmission lines. And I did get information about, we had a 30-foot deep mud wall come through, but some of the waves in the tighter canyons was over 100 feet tall. And that would make sense at looking at what we're seeing now. All of these transmission lines, guys, are gone. All of the construction equipment, again, the hydropowers we talked about yesterday, many homes, many buildings, just everything there is wiped out. So right now what they're doing is watching for a repeat of this event. Got almost 2,000 they're looking for, and you've got, I think the U.S. has sent people in, maybe Britain, because we've got tourists in these areas, believe it or not. But it's a very beautiful location. You're talking about Kathmandu, the Himalayas, all of that. Look at these images. Look at how high the cliffs were on the right. Those are 5 story buildings there. But they caught it, guys, and they're in bad shape. Prayers go up. I don't care what religion you are, you pray. You should pray for these people because they are in bad shape. They weren't the richest in the world anyway, and you've got the same overpopulation problems here as you do anywhere else on the planet. Again, just utter devastation. Guys, but we're watching this. You watch it. If I get an update on that collapse, I'll let you know if there's anything that we can do about it at all other than warn people. But guys, we're watching it. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.